Okay, we are doing an instructional video on write and solving inequalities. I'm going to go over the two properties that we need to know. The reversal property is if A is less than B, then B is greater than A. The transitive property is if A is less than B and B is less than C, then A is less than C. All right, and the learning goal for today is to write, solve, graph, and interpret inequalities that represent word problems. All right, so we're going to do a few word problems and graph the solution. So we are filling a 1,220 liter fish tank. The tank already contains 500 liters of water. 60 liters of water flows into the tank each minute. How many minutes until the tank overflows? So the first thing we're going to want to do is let's circle the data that we have, okay? And then I want you to think about the wording, all right? It already contains, it flows into the tank each minute. And how many minutes until the tank overflows? So this is what we're trying to find. So it's important that we know the information we're looking for. And the diagram helps us because we know that it flows in 60 liters per minute. We know that there's already 500 liters in the tank, and we want to fill it to 1,220 liters, okay? So here, when we look at it, we know it contains, so we're going to want either it's going to have to be this way or this way because it's equal or is less than or more than. So we're going to start with 1,220 liters, and I'm going to pick, because we want at least 1,220 liters equal, greater than or equal to 60. We want to add 60 liters per minute, and we're going to start with 500. So now we're just going to solve the equation. So we're going to subtract, because the inverse of addition is subtraction. And this comes to 720. We keep the inequality symbol. We have 60 times m. We're going to cross that out. So 720, so the inverse of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides. So 720 divided by 60 is 12. So 12 is greater than or equal to m. Or, if it's easier for you to understand it, and I find it easier, remember you can flip-flop it. So m can be less than or equal to 12. Okay, and now when we graph it, we know that it has to be equal to or less than 12, so we have to do the solid circle because it has the greater than or equal sign, so it's closed, and then the arrow goes this way, okay? And we have to interpret it because that's part of doing the math, is you can leave the water on for 12 minutes or less, okay? Now remember, you can pause it for a minute if you need to add the information. Now I'm going to flip over and we're going to do two more word problems and we're going to interpret them. Okay, so again, we're going to look for the data, 70, 2, and 25. And then we want to look at the vocab, each. How many fish? Okay, so have, we're going to use the inequality sign. You have $70 to spend, so this is greater, 70 is greater than or equal to. The fish cost 2 each, and we've already paid $25 for the air pump. So we have our equation. You have $70 to spend. It costs $2 per fish, and the air pump costs $25. So now the inverse of addition and subtraction. These cross out. So 45 is the answer. And now the inverse of multiplication is division. So 45 divided by 2 is 22.5 equals F. Or, again, we can flip-flop it if it makes it easier for you to understand, is 22.5 is greater than or less than F, or F is less than or greater than 22.5. Okay? Now, again, this has the equal sign, so we are going to graph with a closed circle, and 22.5, oops, we're going to put right in the middle here. So there goes a closed circle, and it's less than or equal to, so it goes to the left. Okay, and remember the closed circle. And the interpretation is, let me lift this up, we can see it. You can buy 22 fish because you can't buy half a fish. Okay, so you're going to stick with 22, even though it says you can do 22 and a half. All right, the next one, again, we're going to look at the data. We have 20 and we have a quarter. And we see the language is more than. Okay, so if we remember our language inequality, more than is this symbol. Okay, so we're going to take 1/4 of anglefish. We're going to use this, plus 1A is greater than 20. Okay, make sure we can see that. So then we're going to add these two together. So 1¼ A is less than 20. I'm going to do with 1.25 because I think it's easier to do multiplication and division with that. So 0.25 is equal to 1/4. So we're going to divide 1.25 because the opposite of multiplication is division. So A equals 16, or again, A is greater than 16, or 16 is greater than A. And then we're going to write 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now, this doesn't have a dash underneath, so it is open. Okay, we're going to keep it open. And 16 is greater than A. So we're going to do it over here, close to the right. And to interpret, we're going to write there are more than 16 angelfish. Okay. Remember, you can pause it, you can rewind. Thanks for listening.